Welcome back to the Underground Football Podcast, a show where we talk about anything and everything NFL football from underground. Alongside my co-host Jack Priller and Keegan York, I'm Mike Maynard, and we're going to jump right into it. Today's episode, we're going to go over the Week 7 matchups in the NFL. We'll give our thoughts, our picks on each one, talk a little bit about the matchups, all that stuff, and it should be a good time. Um, but yeah, let's hear from you guys. Priller, how we doing today? How we doing? What do you
You
think about
know,
Week 7?
I'm doing great. I'm kind of excited for week 7, especially after this Thursday night game that was played. It was a shootout. It was pretty nice. So I'm pretty excited for these games coming up this week.
Yeah, for sure. And Keegan, what are we thinking?
I'm right in the same boat as Priller. That Thursday night game was a nice change of pace. Instead of it being like 7-10, it was you could see some actual touch. So I'm hoping that's an indication this week will be some high scoring offenses, have some fun. So
Yeah, definitely. It was refreshing to have the Broncos playing um, on Thursday night or the Bears. Those terrible teams with terrible quarterbacks. But yeah, so moving on. um, we'll quickly recap. Yeah, Thursday night, New Orleans Saints against the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. The Saints lose the game 34 to 42. Cardinals pull it out at home. Great game from Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Two pick sixes on defense. Andy Dalton had a rough time. And DeAndre Hopkins' first game back, he looked pretty good. Had I think 10 catches for around 100 yards. So good
Yep.
game to get back on track for the Cardinals. And for the Saints, kind of just waiting until Jameis can come back, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean it's tough. What do you guys? Anyone have any thoughts on Thursday night, or what are we thinking
Um.
there?
Yeah. Honestly, even though Cardinals won, I definitely think that if you're a Cardinals fan, you're still kind of upset. I mean, your offense hasn't really been putting up what you guys thought they would. So, and debatable if it's on Kyler, if it's on their coach, but I think that's definitely a situation that is going to be talked about in these upcoming weeks about their head coach.
I mean, and if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'm concerned about my quarterback screaming at my coach on the sideline. So that's something that people need to watch out for because they both just got signed to pretty big contracts to stay with the team. So we're gonna see how that works out. But it's a pretty strange sight when your quarterback's cussing out your coach and has to get separated by your receiver. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think Cliff Kingsbury's kind of been on the hot seat for a little while now, and obviously Kyler Murray looks like he kind of isn't meshing well with him, and the team isn't doing too well to start so far at 3-4. So not the best start in the world. Not looking like necessarily going to be a playoff team or anything like that. And while you have Kyler on your team, who's like this superstar quarterback, you want to try to build a roster and have a coaching staff that can get you to the playoffs and maybe the Super Bowl. So maybe Cliff Kingsbury will be on his way out of Arizona soon, but only time will tell. So we'll jump into the rest of Week 7. But before we do that, actually, during the Thursday night football game, we had big news in the NFL world break, and that was the San Francisco 49ers trading for Carolina Panthers running back Christian McCaffrey, sending over a second, third, and fourth round pick in 2023 and a fifth round pick in 2024 for the Panthers running back. He comes over obviously out of that bad situation in Carolina where he was kind of the entire offense, and now he's going to be just a piece of this 49ers offense. But McCaffrey, obviously one of the better running backs in the NFL. 26 years old. He's got his contract locked up until 2025. He'll be 29 years old. He is getting paid a lot of money, 4 years at $64 million. But McCaffrey's a superstar. He's one of the best running backs in the league, as I said. Can catch the ball really well. Run great routes, and is a great runner of the football as well. So definitely an upgrade for the 49ers, and the Panthers obviously on a little bit of a downward spiral. The quarterback situation is rough, and they have a couple pieces, but the team isn't really ready for contention, and so at 1-5, they're kind of just deciding, you know what, it's time to just rebuild and restart and go from there. So I definitely like to hear your guys' thoughts. What do we think about the McCaffrey trade, and who won? Who won the trade?
Well, obviously, you can't really tell about who won because we got to see what they do with these draft
Well,
picks.
I'm talking
But
opinions.
oh, okay. Well, I personally think the 49ers probably won this one, depending on how they use McCaffrey. If obviously he's a superstar, so they're obviously gonna design plays for him, and you're gonna get him the rock like he needs it. But if they use him well, this definitely could be a scary team, especially with how good the rushing offense has been in the past with the 49ers. So it's definitely is a very, very good move. And when you have now you have someone to kind of contrast with like Debo. They're kind of like similar players. Obviously, Debo doesn't play running back, but they're both like receiving running back type deals. So it's gonna be kind of exciting to see McCaffrey get a change of pace and actually like watch him be in a very good, solid offense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with Priller, but if you're a fan of 49ers, obviously that's probably a massive win for you. Good to see an incredibly exciting offense. Hopefully, Jimmy G can work it out with McCaffrey in there. But if you're a Panthers fan, it's probably not looking too good for it right now. You probably have to look at it, realize it's a few years before you're even considered a 500 team again. So that's probably rough, but um, that's just the way it goes sometimes when your winner sucks and your GM sucks. But nothing you can do except watch.
Yeah, and I think looking at this trade as a Panther from the Panthers' point of view, even a Panthers fan point of view, you look at what the Panthers have done with their draft picks in the past couple of years, and you're kind of like, okay, like we got a bunch of middle round picks that we haven't really done anything with in the past couple of years. Like, is this really going to get enough value out of McCaffrey? But maybe they can turn it around and hit on a couple picks. Who knows? But I definitely think you guys both touched on it, but the addition of McCaffrey to this offense is, we don't know what we're going to see yet, but it should be really interesting and it should really propel them to the next level. Not having Trey Lance in here in San Francisco anymore should, you know, Jimmy G needs all the weapons he can get. He's maybe not the best quarterback in the league. Obviously, the 49ers themselves know that, and trading 3 picks away to get Trey Lance, so they definitely don't, think Jimmy G's the future, but having a bunch of weapons around him can maybe propel this team to success because we saw it in 2019 when they went to the Super Bowl. Um, Jimmy G wasn't really the guy bringing them there, but he was just doing what he needed to do and getting the ball to the playmakers. And I think McCaffrey is just going to be a great addition. And Kyle Shanahan, we haven't really seen too much of him with like one dominant running back, but he also really hasn't had that one dominant running back on the team. Um, so it should be very interesting to see how this offense works. Priller touched on it with Debo Samuel as well. These guys are going to be very similar, catching a lot of passes and also getting some carries. So it should be really good. I think Debo's going to be a happy guy because that whole thing in the offseason with his contract was how he didn't want to be, the main running back on the team. He didn't want to be getting hit every single play and wanted to save his career. So I think he's going to be a happy guy now that McCaffrey's in here as well to kind of balance it out and have both of them being able to not get injured as much because they'll both be subbing in and out, not having to be the bulk of the workload. So I think great trade for the 49ers. Just in a fun perspective. I don't know. It is a lot of picks. It's a lot of stuff to give up, and with the Trey Lance trade that I touched on earlier, they don't have a lot of picks left. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. They're obviously in win now mode, so they're not really focused on the picks, but we'll see what they can do to end this season.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
to jump in, we'll move past that trade now. We'll hop into our first set of games. The early slate on Sunday will be led off by a bunch of games, obviously, but we'll start with the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are 6.5 point favorites and are looking to win this divisional matchup, obviously. And Lamar Jackson is kind of the entire Ravens offense. We know this, and it's almost it's kind of weird because the Browns have Nick Chubb being their basically whole offense, and the Ravens have Lamar Jackson being basically their whole offense. But I'm gonna pick the Ravens to win this game. I think they'll pull it out um, at home. 6.5 point favorites, so obviously Vegas agrees with me, but I think the Ravens just have the better team. They have better defense, and I think they'll be able to limit Nick Chubb and this Browns offense to less points than Lamar, basically. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my initial thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. I'm 100% agreeing with you here. I mean, you touched on it. With Nick Chubb being the whole entire offense of the Browns, I think the Ravens have a pretty solid run defense. So I feel like the Browns are gonna have a pretty hard time moving the ball. But yeah, I mean the Browns just haven't really been playing good either. So I mean like it's just like you have a bad team that hasn't really been playing that solid, and now you're going against a pretty tough defense in the Ravens. So I think the Ravens, obviously, you said 6.5 point favorites. I mean, that I think that's well deserved. I think they're gonna pull out a really nice W here.
I mean, like you guys said, it's pretty much the Nick Chubb versus Lamar Jackson battle, and I think Lamar Jackson takes the cake on that one. The Browns being 6.5 point dogs is kind of rough, so I'm about to go with the Ravens on this one. I agree with you guys.
Yeah, and both teams coming off a loss last week, but the Browns in their tough loss to the Patriots 38 to 15, where the Ravens lost to the 5-1 Giants, who have kind of been the crazy miracle story of the season. So, I think the Ravens almost pulled that one out. Just a couple mistakes. They should be trying to get right back on track uh, here in Week 7. So yeah, we all got Ravens going there, and I think we'll have a similar outlook, and I'll be pretty content with our next decision, and that is on this game with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Carolina Panthers. Another divisional matchup. Um, the Buccaneers are 13-point favorites, the highest of this week, the highest that we'll see for a little while. Probably it's a pretty big spread. Um, but obviously 3-3 Buccaneers coming into the 1-5 Panthers. I think the Buccaneers just up and down have the better roster. Had a tough loss to Pittsburgh last week, and they'll definitely try to not have anything similar happen this week because that was not a game that they should have lost, and this is definitely not a game that they should lose. But I think you saw Tom Brady screaming at his O line and everything like that on the sideline. He'll try to get him back on track, get everybody on the same page over this next week of practice, and then I think they'll be ready to go for game time at 1 o'clock on Sunday for the Panthers game. And we touched on how the Panthers are in a rebuild, but they just kind of are trying to get everything out of here. They're looking at Brian Burns trades now. They're probably should get DJ Moore somewhere else. It's not looking good. So the Panthers are kind of looking to not necessarily tank, I guess, but somewhat. And just they're ready to move on to next season, maybe even a couple seasons from now. So I think the Buccaneers pull this one out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Tom Brady isn't gonna let this team slow them down. I mean, they've already been. I'm honestly gonna say Tom Brady's gonna have a bounce back game. They didn't have obviously the best game last week, but I definitely think that this 1-5 Panthers team is gonna just we're gonna see how dominant the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are. And yeah, you mentioned their spread is pretty outrageous, but I mean it's well deserved. I think this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is solid, and I think their defense is even better. So there should be no reason why they can't even like probably shut out this Carolina Panthers team.
Yeah, I'm right there with Jack about that Tom Brady points. I mean, he's had not the best year of his career. Obviously he's pretty old, so you can't. I don't know if you can expect too much out of the goat, but when you're screaming at your offensive line on the sidelines, I mean that cause some issues with your team. So I think this is a perfect chance for them to kind of figure it out and go out and blow out a team, and I could probably push them to the next level for this season. So obviously I'm going with the Bucks on this pick.
Yeah, I figured we'd all agree. I mean, especially with the Panthers losing Christian McCaffrey, like we just touched on, that offense is going to be tough to watch for the rest of the season. All right, next game we'll hop into is the Atlanta Falcons at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals are 6.5 point favorites for this game. Um, I am going to take the upset. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons to pull this one out in Cincinnati. I think, you look at the Atlanta Falcons winning that game last week against the San Francisco 49ers. It was kind of a crazy game. Like, you don't expect the Falcons to kind of be competing with these teams like they are, but right now sitting at 3-3, the Falcons aren't the worst team in the league. They aren't that bad. They're nothing to be messed with. So I think the Falcons will pull this one out somehow, some way. I think their defense has looked better than a lot of people thought. The offensive line has looked way better than I thought for sure. And I think Kyle Pitts getting his first touchdown and just getting these weapons, Drake London and such, going. I think more and more time together will kind of propel them to another win here. But I don't know. I think this should be a good game. I think Cincinnati does have a good roster, but they've kind of been a little bit shaky so far. And get AJ Terrell on Jamar Chase. For the love of God, don't let him expose you like he exposed who was it last week? The Saints. Yeah, without Lattimore, that was bad. So hopefully AJ Terrell, who hasn't looked super great so far, hopefully he can shut down Jamar Chase, and I think the Falcons should pull this one out in Cincinnati. I got the underdogs.
I mean, I agree with you on your points about the Falcons. I definitely don't think they're a bad team. They're definitely an average team, but they look a lot better. I thought they would have a Marcus Mariota, who's been a backup for the last few years. They haven't looked terrible, especially pretty good without Cordero Patterson, which is surprising. So that's pretty good. But I'm going to have to disagree. I'm going to have to go with the Bengals on this. I think the show that the Bengals put on and the Superdome, LSU living their LSU days was impressive, and I think that kicked off their offense. So I'm probably have Bengals by 10 on this one. I don't know about Preller, but we'll hear it now.
Yeah, honestly, I think this comes down to strictly just QB play. I think Joe Burrow's obviously the better quarterback here coming into this week. And so I feel like when it comes down to Joe Burrow's gonna be able to make the passes that Marcus Mariota can't with the weapons that he has. So I'm taking the Bengals in this one, and I'm expecting Jamar Chase to, obviously keep his targets. I mean, he's averaging a lot of targets a game, so I'm hoping that he turns some of those targets into receptions, not only for the Bengals' sake, but for my fantasy value's sake.
I think my only thing with like this matchup and my biggest thing on why I'm picking the Falcons is mainly coaching, and just that the Bengals have been arguably the worst coach team in the league so far. You watch these games and you're like, what in the world is Zach Taylor doing right now? So I don't know. I think Arthur Smith has looked really good getting this Falcons offense, which does not have a ton of firepower. As you said, the quarterbacks are a big mismatch, but I think the offensive line has looked way better um, than they thought, and I think that's a lot of Arthur Smith. I think the run game has been good. Like Keegan said, without Cordell Patterson, I think it's a coaching mismatch, and so I got the Falcons pulling this one out. So we'll jump in now. Next game. It is the Detroit Lions taking on the Dallas Cowboys at Dallas, and the Cowboys are 6.5-point favorites. This will be the first game back for Dak Prescott after his injury in Week 1. So, the Cowboys have looked pretty good, I guess, with Cooper Rush coming in. So, interesting to see how they can either keep things going or what's going to change with Dak. But I do have the Cowboys taking this one at home against Detroit. I think the Lions um, just don't have the defense to keep up with the Cowboys. I think Dak's going to come back and have a good game. I think these weapons, Michael Gallup's back now. CeeDee Lamb has been doing really well and has gotten better as the season's gone on. Dalton Schultz is coming back to full health now, and I think this Cowboys offense is going to light it up. And obviously, the Cowboys defense is one of the best in the league, leading the league in sacks. And I think they'll get after Jared Goff and the Lions do have a lot of injuries as well. I'm not sure if DeAndre Swift is going to play or Amon-Ra St. Brown, but I think they're expected to play, but they'll be a little bit banged up possibly, and I think the Cowboys will just pull this one out at home.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm going with the underdogs here. I think Detroit definitely could pull us out. They're both obviously. I think Dak is going to struggle in the first half just because it's his first week back, but you never really know. But I do know what's going to happen. Jared Goff is going to keep doing what he's been doing, put up points. I think the Detroit Lions offensive line has been pretty solid this year. So like, I'm not saying they're going to cancel out obviously Dallas's strong defensive line, but they're definitely gonna. I think it's going to be a suit that Detroit's going to be able to rely on. I think Jared Goff trusts his offensive line. He's going to be able to fit the ball in when he needs to. So with that being said, I definitely think that this is going to be a very high scoring game because I do agree with you that Dak's probably going to come out and he once a while back he was a pretty good quarterback when it comes to putting up fantasy value. So I definitely think Dak's gonna do his thing, put up some points, but I also see the Detroit Lions doing the same thing. So I definitely see this being a high scoring game, not so much a low scoring game. But I don't know. I just something feeling. I think Dan Campbell's gonna be able to pull this one out, and and win with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I think
Maybe at level. I mean, obviously the first week
you're
this
good.
year
Go
wasn't
ahead,
good.
Keegan. Sorry.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
All right. Um.
No
Anyways.
technical difficulties.
Okay. Anyways, Dak. The whole point of this game is if Dak can come in and play at a high level. Obviously, the first week this year was not great, and he was hurt. But if he can go back to what he was playing for parts of last year, I think they can pretty easily take out the Lions. But Lions are always a scrappy team. And they're obviously not a team that's going to put up a lot of wins this year, but they're a team that will compete with you. Because, I mean, I think they're a pretty okay coach. They just don't have the talent to compete with a team like the Cowboys. But I think it'd be a close game. I think it could be a high scoring game, too. I mean, Jared can put up a lot of touchdowns, just as good as anyone in the league. Also have a game where he puts up more interceptions than any quarterback in the league. So we'll just have to see. But if Dak comes out and plays at a high level, he's definitely going to bring this team to a win.
Yeah, I think there's no reason to think that Dak can't get right back into shape right where he was before the injury or last season, the season before, stuff like that. He's shown that he's a good quarterback and can lead teams to wins, and the Cowboys have won multiple games without him. So even if he's not 100% Dak, or the Dak that we're used to, I think they can still pull it out with a pretty meh game from him. So we'll hop into the next game here, that being the New York Giants at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are 3-point favorites in this game. Um, the Giants coming in at 5-1. Kind of crazy that they're underdogs here, but I do see where the odds are coming from. I think the Giants, not to say they're a Mickey Mouse 5-1 team, but maybe a little bit. I think definitely they've gotten a little bit lucky. They've had a little bit of they've had a lot of stuff bounce their way. This offense has been good. I do want to shout out Brian Dable has looked great as the Giants' new head coach. The offense, which doesn't have basically any good receivers and has Daniel Jones as the quarterback, has looked pretty damn good. So shout out to the Giants coaching staff. But I do have the Jaguars taking this game. They're coming in at 2-4 against a 5-1 team and are favored to win. And I think for good reason. I think Trevor Lawrence is a much better quarterback than Daniel Jones, but I think the Jaguars' running game will get going against this Giants defense. They got ETN and James Robinson back there. Get the run game going, play some defense, and I think hand the Giants their second loss of the season in in Jacksonville.
I'm gonna have to disagree. I think the Giants, yes, yes, they have been, gotten a few things to go their way, but I think this team's good. I think that they're a scrappy team. They definitely fight until the last play on the football field, which is a very important thing to do. So I think that the Giants are they're not gonna blow them out, but I definitely think that the Giants are gonna make this a scrappy win and come back. Even if they're down 7 in the fourth, I think they're gonna be able to come back and make this a win just because of strictly their running game that they've been relying on so much with Saquon being obviously a good pass catching back, but also a very great running back. So I think that Saquon's gonna have a nice day against Jacksonville, and yeah, I just think the Giants are gonna pull this one out.
Yeah, I agree with Priller on this one. I really don't understand where the odds are coming from. I guess it's a home game for Jacksonville, so that's typically how it goes. If they're pretty close teams, but man, I know everyone hates on Daniel Jones. He's not the world's greatest quarterback, but I don't think he's played that terribly this year. I think he's looked like an actual NFL quarterback, and I don't see any reason why they can't go in there and take out Jacksonville, who's really only looked that good against the Indianapolis Colts, who aren't that great of a team. So I'd have to go with the Giants on this one.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and just
it'll
to
be competitive. It'll be a good game.
yeah, and I mean just to kind of touch on it, Daniel Jones has been playing at a very good level. I mean, like obviously not an elite level, but I mean like he's only 5 touchdowns for 2 interceptions. I mean that's pretty solid. He's thrown 1,000 yards. Like it's kind of what you want out of your quarterback when you're relying so hard on like your running game with Saquon. So I definitely think that with him playing solidly, definitely could help out this team. And with like Jacksonville just hasn't really been like connecting. I feel like they have been, but not on all levels because obviously they're 2-4. But I definitely think that this could be an interesting game to look at. Definitely probably not your most intriguing game, but definitely a game that's gonna be pushed to their limits.
Yeah, not a game that's going to be nationally televised, and I'm sure most people aren't super excited unless you're a fan of one of these teams. But it should be a very competitive game. Like I said, it's two teams that are similar in the aspects of having a young quarterback and some pretty good running backs and defenses that maybe aren't the best. So it's a game where anything could really happen. I think we looked at a game like the Buccaneers Panthers game. We kind of can expect a lot more out of that game. Like we know a lot more of what's going to happen. This one's a lot of unknown stuff. I think, you know, I'm betting on the home team, have the home crowd, and have that running game get it going, and Jacksonville to pull it out. But yeah, it should be a good one. We'll hop into
Yeah,
the next
definitely.
game here. Indianapolis Colts going into Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Titans are 2.5 point favorites in this game. Um,
Interesting.
and I do have the Tennessee Titans taking this game. I think Derrick Henry's gonna just run all over this Colts defense. I think the the Colts have had a bad matchup against the Titans in this division for a while now, um, and I just think the Titans have looked better so far. Matt Ryan hasn't looked great for the Colts, and we saw them play on Thursday night this past week, and they, not to call them out too much, looked pretty. Or wait, that was not Thursday this past week, was it? No, that was the week before.
No.
They
Yeah.
won last week against the Jaguars. Still,
Yes.
the Colts didn't look great. Overall, they're just a worse team in my opinion. I think the Titans have the better quarterback. They have a better defensive line. And I think Jonathan Taylor's a little bit banged up still. I think Derrick Henry gets it going here and leads the Titans to the victory.
It's interesting because I think that honestly, I have the Colts winning this game. They're getting back Jonathan Taylor, I believe, so that would be a nice little relief for Matt Ryan, being able to hand it to his bell cow. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a nice running matchup against these two teams. I think that Derrick Henry is obviously going to do his thing like he normally does, but I also think with JT coming back, he hasn't proved, he hasn't kept up to what we thought he was going to do this season. So I definitely think this is going to be a huge game for JT. I definitely think he's going to be involved in this offense, huge. But I think that the receivers for the Colts and obviously um the cornerbacks for the Titans aren't that great. So I just think that the receivers are going to be able to make plays this game as well as Jonathan Taylor. So I have the Colts winning, being an upset this week. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Colts can pull this game out. Man, they get Jonathan Taylor back, who's obviously banged up. Um, I know Mike said that, I believe he said that he thinks Tannehill's the better quarterback. I know Matt Ryan's at an age in his career where he's not playing at a prime level anymore, but I still think even at this point, Matt Ryan still outplays Ryan Tannehill. And I mean, Derrick Henry, I don't think he's been god awful this year, but he hasn't obviously played at the Derrick Henry level that we expect. And I mean, their offense is more last in the league, I believe. And I just don't really think their record speaks to what they should be. So I definitely think the Colts should take this home.
Yeah, also I want to mention that the Colts have also been having other people step up, like their second wide receiver Alex Pierce. He's definitely been playing at like a pretty good level, being a second wide receiver, like you know what I mean, like the wide receiver number two in that offense. For an offense that hasn't been really good in the red zone, he's definitely been able to, you know, get them into the red zone. You know what I mean? He's might not be the red zone target for their team, but he's definitely helping them move the ball down the field. So I feel like that this offense is just going to be able to overpower the Tennessee Titans defense, which is why I have the Colts winning, obviously.
I'm very surprised that both of you have the Colts, because in case you guys forgot, Week 4 this was a matchup. The Colts did play the Titans, and the Titans did win the game. They won 24-17. Um, and that Jonathan Taylor was playing that game. He had 20 carries for 42 yards. He was held in check. I think the Titans, when you look at their schedule, they lost Week 1 to the Giants by 1 point, which is a tough game. Got blown out by the Bills, which they're the Bills, but then won the next three and had a bye week. I think the Titans look good. Um, I think definitely, looking back and having a matchup to go off of, and Derrick Henry ran for 114 yards and a touchdown. I think this is going to be a game that the Colts are going to be circling on their schedule as, okay, we gotta try to get one of these from the Titans, because they already lost one, and I think the Titans they look scary, they look good. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised you guys both have the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, kind of just to touch back on that, the Titans were just able to kind of hold the receiving game of Matt Ryan to basically like a minimum with his number one target. But I mean, they still tore him up with their tight end game. I think that with Derrick Henry tearing up the team last time they faced off, the Colts are going to put more of an emphasis on defending him because prior to coming into that game with them, Derrick Henry wasn't putting up the numbers that he normally does. So I think that they were kind of like, maybe is this Derrick Henry that we're used to? But now that Derrick Henry's obviously shown them this, I think that they're going to be stacking the box a little bit more, trying to contain the Titans running game with the Titans having some other receivers banged up.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll definitely. It's not going to be the same game, obviously. I think they're both going to adapt and change and try to, pull out a different end result if you're the Colts, and if you're the Titans, try to win by even more. Who knows? So should be a good one. A good divisional matchup. Both teams are at 3-2 and 3-2-1. So really similar records, really similar caliber teams, and it should be a good one. We'll hop in with the next game here. Last game of the early slate being the Green Bay Packers at the Washington Commanders. The Packers are favored by 4.5 points here, playing in Washington. I do have the Packers taking this one out. I think when you look at this matchup, it's basically you got a coaching mismatch with the Packers having the edge there, and you got a quarterback mismatch with the Packers having the edge there, and I think neither one of those is very close. I think Aaron Rodgers is miles better than Taylor Heineke, and I think Matt LaFleur is miles better than Ron Rivera. So I think if you look at just that, that tells you a lot. Those are, in my opinion, two of the biggest, you know, most important things on a NFL football team is coaching and quarterback. So you look there, you have a big mismatch, but Packers have, much better running backs. The receivers are obviously rough and good offensive line, and I think they'll hopefully keep the Commanders' defensive line in check with Montez Sweat and Jonathan Allen and those guys. And I think Aaron Rodgers will be able to dice them up and pull out a win here in Washington.
Yeah, I'm taking the Packers here as well, but I think I don't know, the Packers have not been playing very good against some of these teams that they've played. So I think it's going to be a closer game, but with that QB mismatch that you mentioned, with Carson Wentz getting placed on injured reserve, I definitely think that they have the advantage on offense 100%. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to do all he can to score, but it's just like their offense just hasn't been clicking like they should have been. Like we thought Aaron Rodgers was going to come out be blasting it like he did last year. But I mean, it just hasn't looked good. But again, Taylor Heineke running the offense, you're not really expecting too much out of him. You're really just expecting the Commanders defense to hold the Packers in check, which it's bound to have some mistakes and have Aaron Rodgers do what he does and make plays. So I still have the Packers winning this, but I think it's going to be a closer game than most people are expecting.
I mean, I agree with the game aspect of it. I mean, I have the Packers in this game, but I don't think the Commanders are just going to sit to the side and just be walked all over, obviously. I mean, I know that even if Carson was playing, Aaron Rodgers is still miles better. But I also think it could be like a rejuvenation thing for the Commanders' offense having Heineke in there. Maybe he'll make a couple of his random exciting plays that he made a couple years ago in the playoffs. So I'm sure if you're a Commanders fan, that's what you're hoping for. That maybe he can get something going. Maybe have Gunslinger come back out, just throw up the ball. Well, we'll see. But obviously, I think the Packers take this one pretty easily.
Yeah, I think the Packers will get that run game going and hopefully figure out the defensive side of the ball. They've struggled so far defensively, but get Jair on Terry McLaurin and hold Taylor Heineke in the pocket and get the run game going on offense. I think the Packers should pull this one out. So we'll hop in with the late slate here. The New York Jets are going to Denver to take on the Broncos. The New York Jets are favored by 1.5 points here to win this game, and I do have the Jets taking this one. I think Denver has
It's
looked
outrageous.
taking the Jets over Denver's outrageous.
No, 1 point favorites.
One and a half
That's
point favorites for
crazy.
the Jets. Yeah, I think if you're looking for a pick this week, take that right there because the Broncos coming in. Honestly, if they had Russell Wilson, might have picked
With
the
a
Jets to win
terrible offense.
anyways. Still would have picked them. So I don't know. I think obviously I think it's Brett Ripien is coming in to back him up, if I'm not mistaken. But I think yeah, the Broncos have looked I'll say it. They've looked terrible so far this season. They've looked absolutely horrible offensively, and the Jets have not. And I think the Broncos now having a backup quarterback is going to make them even struggle more than they have been. So Russell Wilson with his hamstring injury, I saw a report that he wanted to play this week, but Nathaniel Hackett kind of kept him out and said like, this is more of a long-term thing. We need to, make sure we're not coming back too early. So um, I think they're maybe downplaying the Jets as a team that can't beat them, or I don't know what the thought process is there, but the Jets just went to Green Bay and beat the Packers 27-10. So the Jets definitely look good. I think Zach Wilson's kind of turning into the quarterback. Maybe not that was the number two pick thought, like maybe not what you thought with you were getting with the number two pick, but he's definitely turning into a better quarterback and growing. And this offense with Brees Hall kind of taking that next step, and having Garrett Wilson coming in as a rookie too, like this offense for the Jets has looked good. The defense looks solid as well. The Broncos defense has looked amazing to start the season. I think they're giving up the least amount of touchdowns in the league so far, but that offense is just it can't they're losing in these low scoring games because they just can't put up enough points. So I got the Jets taking this one out in Denver.
100%. I think the Jets defense has played amazingly, and now they're going against an offense that has been playing horrible. They have the offense and the Broncos have not been playing to what they thought it was. Even with Russell Wilson at the helm, they haven't been able to get something going. And I think with them taking Russell out of this game now and throwing in a backup QB, I just don't know how. I really don't understand how they think they're going to pull this one out. I think the Jets have been playing well with with Brees Hall coming in at running back, finally having his little breakout game. He's definitely going to be able to contribute in this game. I think keep the time of possession honestly high for the Jets. I think the Jets are going to try to just control the game clock, control everything about this game. And yeah, just kind of reiterating again, the Broncos offense has not been playing well at all. I mean, we all can agree on that. And with them obviously taking out their best their best player on offense, it's going to be rough to see this game. I definitely think this game is
You're
going
saying
to
Russell
be
Wilson's their best player on offense?
yeah, I definitely think that
I
they paid him
disagree.
like he is. Like
They paid him like he is, but he's not. I think Cortland Sutton's kind of been the only guy that's actually doing anything there.
all right. But I think this is going to be a huge blowout game here. I don't think I think the Jets aren't the Jets that we're used to seeing. I think that you know everyone thinks oh it's the New York Jets are trash, but this year they're really proving everybody wrong. So I expect the Jets to take this one home easily.
I mean, I agree with you guys. It's Jets all the way. And to kind of talk about Mike's point about Zach Wilson and him maybe not being what you expected out of the number two pick, but people forget that back in the day when you draft a quarterback that high, I mean, ever since like the Cam Newtons and the Justin Herberts and the Mahomes and the Burrows playing their first, second year looking like MVP candidates, it's not how it used to be. I mean, we're getting drafted that high, and they may have played, but it took them 3, 4 years to start looking like a good quarterback. And so people who write these players off, like Wilson, and just their like second year, maybe they're not playing top of the league. I think that's unfair to them, and like you're not giving them time to learn because the NFL is a much different game than a college game. But I think that Zach Wilson could be one of the better quarterbacks in the league within the next few years, and so I just think people need to think about that. But for sure, the Jets in this game, I don't think the Broncos could even put up 3 points, but we'll see.
You said they won't put up 3 points?
I don't think they'll put up any
That
points.
Jets
Ripien,
defense, man, they're strong, bro.
Ripien is
Gardner's been
terrible.
playing like an
Wow,
absolute
three
animal.
points is
Let's talk about that.
crazy.
Gardner has been playing like an absolute freak.
Yeah,
So I
Sauce
think
is
he's going to be
definitely like
locking this team
on.
up.
He's on lookout for being one of the best corners in the league already.
Yeah,
He's
especially
been
with like
really good.
Ramsey and Alexander not being like honestly top tier. And like Ramsey's been good, but they're playing him more in the slot, I think, than he's normally used to. But Alexander hasn't been looking that good. Those are kind of two guys that normally when you think of the best quarterbacks in the league, best DBs in the league, those are guys that people mention a lot. I think this guy is playing amazing.
All right, why don't we go
Is
off on a little tangent here? Who's best quarterback, a corner in the league for you guys? Because I got my pick. I'll go first. I got best
yeah, you go
cornerback in the
first,
league
Logan.
so far is actually playing in this game on the other side, and that's PS2 Patrick Surtain. I think he has been, you know, unbelievable to start his career. He came in as a rookie last year and looked amazing, and now he's coming in and shutting down every single team's number one receiver. And like I said about that Broncos defense, it's the best in the league, maybe. Like, I think he's a big part of that. I think Pat Surtain is definitely, playing up to what his dad did with the Patriots back in the day. But I think he's my pick right now. If we're talking best corner in the league so far in 2022, I got Pat Surtain.
Yeah, that sounded about right. He's definitely been a playmaker on that Broncos team. I mean, AJ Terrell's also been pretty solid, I feel. Yeah,
You think?
he's been solid.
I think he's had a
He's
bad
been
year.
solid this year.
For
I
AJ
mean,
Terrell standard, he was an all-pro caliber guy last year, and he has not looked like that.
what about yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to kind of agree with you, but yeah, I mean, Tristan's definitely been a playmaker this year for sure. So I mean, especially how young he's definitely been all right for sure. But I mean, again, I have to throw Sauce up there. Sauce is definitely top three this season. Sauce is definitely in that in
Yeah,
that
this
in that
season, this
conversation.
season.
Yeah, I agree with the Sertan pick. Mike picked that right out of my brain, but a lot of people aren't talking about Darius Slay on the Eagles is kind of having a resurgent year
For
to his
Oh
sure.
career.
yeah, I forgot about him.
Um, man, I don't know his stats off the top of my head, but he's been absolutely insane. I watched some film on him, and he's been locked down. Like quarterbacks are scared to throw to him, and then when you're doing that to a quarterback, I think that puts you in top five for sure. So, I mean, I think Pat Surtain's probably number one, but Darius Slay's probably right next to him.
Yeah.
Honestly, looking at the Eagles
Oh
too, James
wow.
Bradbury has been really good too,
Yeah,
right next to
they've
him.
been playing
That
amazing over
Eagles
there.
defense has looked great. I mean, we'll get in to the Eagles next week because obviously they're on a bye this week, but um, that Eagles defense has looked really really good, and I think definitely having Slay on one side and Bradbury on the other is crazy. But yeah, Slay's a good pick.
For sure. Definitely been locking up some of these teams. Some of those teams are NFL's best receivers with Justin Jefferson getting locked up in that week 2 matchup. Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely a guy.
that was wild. But crazy to see two of the best young corners in the NFL playing in this game here in Denver. But we'll hop in now. We'll move on to our next game in the late slate. We have the Houston Texans going into Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. The Raiders being 6.5 point favorites in this game. I have them winning. Both teams have started out really, really rough, each having one win so far in the season. The Vegas Raiders being 1-4, and the Texans being 1-3-1. But I think when you look at the rosters up and down, the Raiders just have a much better team. I think they have a better quarterback. They have Devontae Adams. They have Hunter Renfro. They have Darren Waller, and the Texans have Damian
Nobody.
Pierce and nobody else. So
Brandon Cooks, I guess. But he hasn't been doing
yeah,
much.
yeah. But the Raiders have a better defense as well with Max Crosby, Chandler Jones. I think it's just a mismatch. I think the Raiders they started out 1-4, but I think they've been in a lot of close games. They could have won a lot of the games they've lost so far. I think the Raiders will bounce back after a couple tough weeks. I think they had a bye last week, but the week before they lost by 1 point to the Chiefs, which is just it's brutal. But yeah, I think the Raiders are a good team. I think they're 1-4, and they might not make the playoffs because they're in that tough division. But the Raiders are one of the best I think they're the best 1-4 team I've ever seen. So I think they'll get the win here in Houston. Or no, they're in
Yeah.
Vegas. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I think this is just what we call a get back game for the Raiders. This is definitely an offense that's not been producing like they wanted to. But I mean, Josh Jacobs, he's been pretty solid this year. So I feel like they're gonna keep
Underrated,
using.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna keep using Josh Jacobs, obviously. But I think Devonte Adams is gonna have a huge game this week. This should be Devonte Adams like 200-yard receiving game right now. Like this is what's gonna happen. But I do respect the Texans. Texans aren't a great team at all, but I mean their running back piece that they picked up. I don't know what round it was with Damian Pierce, but that is a very very solid pickup that they got with this guy. I think Damian Pierce is that bell cow type of guy. He definitely wants those carries. So I think that they're gonna just stick to their running game, but I think the Raiders, obviously with their offense, is gonna be able to just plow this team over.
Yeah, I just want to say Damian Pierce is a fourth round pick for the Texans, and so far it seems like a steal for them.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm right there with you guys. I think the Raiders take this home. I agree with Mike. Um, their record does not reflect the way they've played. I mean, they probably are the best 1-4 team I've ever seen. But the Texans, they do have pieces on their team. They can build something eventually. I mean, it's only his rookie year, but if he's can be consistent, I mean, that's a great pickup right there. He's a powerful runner. He's exciting to watch. I mean, he's what, number 3 in the league? Does anyone know?
No, I don't,
For
but he's definitely
yards,
crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not
He's
sure.
definitely been doing good, and he definitely
but
showed
he's
that
up
he's
there.
a great running back.
I
You
mean,
can
to
keep
be able
going.
to come in, I mean, he's their entire offense pretty much. I mean, Davis Mills hasn't looked. I honestly think the Texans look better last year than they did this year. I'm sure you guys agree with me there. And they were looking pretty okay last year. But I don't even think they're that great of a talent. I think they should have won the one game that they did. But I'm picking the Raiders on this one.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of, it's going to be kind of interesting. We were just talking about good cornerbacks. Stingley is on that other side of the ball. It's going to be interesting to see how he matches up with some of the best, well, with the best, eh, with a good receiver, with a great receiver in the NFL, Devontae
You
Adams. I
don't
don't
want
know
to
if we
give it
could.
to him. You're not gonna give him the credit.
I don't know. I don't know if it's bad quarterback play with him with why he's not been producing, but
He's been
he's def
solid.
he's been
He
all
got a
right. But I mean, when we're
touchdown in
talking
every
about like
game almost.
when we're talking about like best receivers in the NFL, I mean, like right now, I think this game has changed a little bit. I don't think Devontae's really been producing. If he would have came out and started doing, yeah, I'd give it to him. But right now, like Cup obviously has been looking amazing, and same with Jay Jettis. So I don't really know yet, but
That's
I
fair.
can't give it to him. But yeah, I mean, I forgot what I was going to talk about, but fuck, but definitely we already talked about it. The Raiders have the way better team in this situation all around. So obviously Raiders by a lot.
There you go. Raiders by a million coming from Jack Briller. We'll hop into the next game. The Seattle Seahawks going to Los Angeles to take on the LA Chargers. Um, the Seahawks coming in at 3-3. The Chargers at 4-2. The Seahawks, or sorry, the Chargers are 4.5 point favorites to win this game. I actually have the upset. I have the Seattle Seahawks taking this one. I know, crazy. Whoa, whoa, everybody freak out. No, but
Yeah.
the Seahawks pulling this one out in LA. I mean, it's going to be basically in Seattle because we know the Chargers have no fans, and the Seahawks fans are going to all just travel down there. But it's okay. Moving on, I think the Seahawks have kind of shocked the world a little bit so far to start the season, and Geno Smith has looked like a starting caliber quarterback. Like,
Yes,
he's had a
sir.
couple weeks where he's looked top 10. I don't know. He's been looking really good, making some throws that nobody thought he could make. And I can't believe. I'll just touch on this really quick. The fact that they even thought about starting Drew Lock is kind of wild to me. Like it took them a while to name Geno as the starter, and he's looked really good. So I don't know. Whatever. That's just a different time or a story for a different time. But the Seahawks have looked good. They had that good win against the Cardinals last week. The defense has looked better than expected as well. Jamal Adams has been out, but I think the Seahawks have looked good, and the Chargers are coming off that win against the Broncos in overtime. That was just really not a good game for either team. But the Chargers didn't look great. Herbert didn't look great. I believe Keenan Allen's going to be coming back for this game, so look out for him to maybe show up and produce. But I think the Seahawks defense has been pretty good, and Tariq Woolen's been a super nice piece. We were talking about young corners. There's another one that's pretty has come onto the
Yeah.
scene and looked pretty good to start. But yeah, I have the Seahawks taking the upset here in LA.
I love to hear that. The only thing I'm gonna have to take the Chargers on this one. The only reason why I'm saying that is
Wow.
because it's just because Lockett has been questionable this whole week. I've been paying close attention to this, and Lockett's been questionable this whole week.
You don't even
So
chuck it to DK.
so I think if Lockett is not playing this game, this is definitely going to be a rough game for the Seahawks. But with that being said, the Seahawks have been able to produce a lot of points, I feel like, on offense. I mean, I've been watching the game. So yeah, they've been able to produce a lot of points on offense. And now with their rookie running back coming in and taking at the helm, I think man, he's been great. He's been looking pretty explosive. But on the opposite side of the ball, I think or on the opposite end of the thing with the Chargers, I think Eckler, man, is going to have a great game. The Seahawks have been really, really bad at defending running backs this year. So I think Eckler is going to have a very, very productive day. That doesn't mean that they're going to win the game, but I'm just saying, just look out for fantasy owners that have Eckler. He's going to put up some numbers. Maybe if you're a better, watch out. He's going to put up some numbers against the Seahawks defense.
Bet the
So yeah,
over on Eckler rushing yards, courtesy of Jack Briller.
yeah.
I'm actually going to agree with the upset on this one. I'm going with the Seahawks pick.
Can we hold
Um,
on really quick? Can we believe this right now? The Seahawks fan in the call is picking the Chargers to win.
Oh,
This is
it
it just
pains
crazy.
me
happened
to
last
say.
time with the Bears and the Texans game.
It
Jack's
pains
going
me
with
to
the
say that,
Bears.
bro.
Wow. All right. Go ahead, Keegan. So, yeah.
But man, I don't think the Chargers looked that great against the Broncos. I believe I don't know the final score, but I really don't think they should win it again. I don't think either team deserved to win that game. And I know Keenan Allen's coming back, but Herbert actually has a tendency to force the ball in some pretty rough spots. And when you get like Tariq Woolen back there who's looking pretty good, he's probably gonna play pretty well against that. But I don't really. I think it'll be a close game for sure. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout, but it could be a close, high-scoring game, maybe like a 30-27 type game. But Geno's looked, dare I say, phenomenal this year. I mean, compared to what you expected him just to play like an average quarterback, but he's looked top 10 this year. Not saying he is a top 10 quarterback, Jack, but
Yeah,
he's
you could
definitely been
hope.
exciting. Yeah, it's definitely been exciting to watch the Seahawks this year, and I think they pull out a win. And like Mike said about Chargers having no fans, it'll probably sound like the entire
Phelps
fan section
Nation
of the
is gonna
Seahawks
be
is there.
there. Yeah, you're right. I'll be there too. But no, I
Rooting
mean,
on the Chargers apparently. Oh boy.
no, but I mean, the Seahawks. It is. They're a very underrated team when it comes to staying in games. They normally bring it down to like the fourth quarter to where it's gonna be a very close quarter game. So I mean, you say I have the Chargers winning, yeah, but it's gonna be a very close game that could be a kind of a flip flop. I definitely don't think the Chargers are 4.5 favorites here, just because of I mean the Seahawks have been kind of on a roll lately, but and the Chargers haven't. So I definitely don't agree with the 4.5 favorites. If I'm a betting man, I'm betting on the plus 4.5. But the Chargers I think are gonna be able to pull it out in the fourth quarter, late in the game. With their number one target coming back in Keenan Allen. So that's what I think. Coming from a Seahawks fan, I think we should respect that opinion.
It's not too late to change your pick, brother. I think you should change it because you know
Nah,
how they're
I'll throw
going.
on a parlay with the Seahawks winning this game. So
Sure.
Okay. All I'm getting out of this whole podcast is that Priller just is betting on everything this week. Like there isn't a single thing that Priller's not betting on. Okay. Hopping in with the last game of the late slate of games on Sunday. Um, this is one of the better games of the week. I think it's the Kansas City Chiefs going to San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers. And I think it'll be a really interesting game with Christian McCaffrey obviously coming in for his first game. I'm not sure how much we'll see of him, but he should come in and get at least something. He practiced, I believe, on Friday, and he'll know a couple plays. Maybe he'll get him going in the red zone. Not sure, but it should be interesting to see. I think I have forgot to mention, I have the 49ers pulling this one out. The Chiefs are 1-point favorites, if I didn't mention that already. Um, and both teams are coming off tough losses in week 6, but I have the 49ers taking this one at home against the Chiefs.
honestly, I'm taking the Chiefs here, just because that's Chiefs. They're electric offense, and so I believe that they're going to be able to do what they normally do and put up a lot of points. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that the McCaffrey trade is going to really affect this game because obviously he doesn't really know all the plays and he doesn't have like designed runs for him yet. But I think if this game was played in a week from now, I think this would definitely be a 49ers favorite game. But with I don't think this the trade. I think the Chiefs can definitely come out on top this game. And I just want to point out, this is a National Tight Ends Day. Is tomorrow.
Oh,
Or
George
yeah.
Kittle's going off.
So expect big things out of both of these tight ends. I am a betting man, so I'm going to be betting the overs on both these guys' yards this game. But yeah, I got the Chiefs winning for sure.
I also have the Chiefs winning this game. Everyone's getting excited about McCaffrey, and I like McCaffrey. I'm excited too, but obviously he's not going to know anything with the playbook yet. That doesn't mean they won't throw him in on some red zone packages or try to get him the ball. And if you get him in the open field, he's going to make a play, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. So I definitely have the Chiefs win this one probably by 3.
I think this should be a good one. It's a
Yeah,
Super
for sure.
Bowl. I'm
Rematch?
not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna try. But it's a Super Bowl rematch of whatever the 50 something, back in 2019, and I think the Chiefs won that game, and I think the 49ers are pissed off. I think Jimmy G is pissed off. They had a rough game against the Falcons last week too, and they're gonna bounce back and take this one at home.
Yeah, I would just like to point out 49ers defense is playing amazing. Who I forget his name. Oh,
Talanoa
the line.
Hufanga.
Yeah, you knew his last start. Yeah, he's been playing like amazing at the linebacker position
He's
this
a
year. So,
safety.
oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh,
29
he
looks like Troy
he's been playing
Polamalu.
down though. Yeah, has he not
He's
been
like a
playing down?
box safety. Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
strong
thank you. Okay,
safety.
that's where I got confused at. But yeah, I don't watch most of their games. But he's gonna be interesting to see what kind of plays he can make. I imagine Travis Kelce and him are gonna be together quite a bit.
They'll be
So it's
hanging
gonna be
out.
interesting. Yeah, they'll be hanging out together. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they try to slow down how this defense tries to slow down Travis Kelce and stuff like that. So you know, I don't know. I just think that Travis Kelce is gonna be able to show what he did in the previous week when he dropped like 3 touchdowns. I think that's gonna be this week again. So that's why I got the Chiefs.
I think I'm just hopeful that Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, Charvarius Ward, Mike McGlinchey, all these guys injured for the 49ers. I'm kind of hoping they come back and can lead the team to a victory. But
Be very interesting to see.
yeah, this is
Definitely
honestly, if I
the
had to
probably
pick
the
a game
weak
of the
matchup.
week, yeah, this is game of the
Yeah,
week right here. So should
this
be a
this is
great
gonna
one.
be interesting.
All right, Sunday night football. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are 7.5 point favorites to win this game. The Steelers coming off that win last week against the Buccaneers.
Uh, that was an ugly game.
Was an ugly game. I think I have the Dolphins pulling this one out. I think getting Tua back will definitely help the offense, and I think the Steelers definitely have struggled on offense so far. And I think if you're just looking at an offensive matchup here, the Dolphins definitely have the better weapons, better quarterback, and just are going to be able to put up more points. And defenses are similar. Maybe the Steelers have the edge there, but I think the Dolphins will just be able to put the pressure on and keep the pedal down and hold the lead, win the game. So I got the Dolphins winning.
My question: do you think that is Pickett starting this game? Is he playing, or are they going back with Mitch?
Yeah, he's going. Pickett's playing.
Oh.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I still got the Dolphins winning this one for sure. Definitely, I'm expecting Tua to come back and not miss a beat. He's been very good in obviously the games that he played before the concussion. I think he's going to come back. He's obviously going to do his thing with Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. The Steelers defense, after losing T.J. Watt, hasn't really played very well. So I think that explosive that's how I'm going to define them. Explosive offense is going to just be able to absolutely torch and just destroy the Steelers defense. So I got strictly just based on the Dolphins being able to put up more points than the Steelers. The Dolphins are going to win this game.
I'm right there with you guys. Dolphins all the way. I mean, Tua coming back. He's just coming back, right? I think that's what we're
Yes,
talking
Yeah.
this will be
Yes,
Tua's
he is.
first game back.
about. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he'll miss to be. I think he'll be right back to what he was doing. Um, well, it was a good game, boring game, but a good game between the Steelers and the Bucks last week. When you have the best Bears quarterback Trubisky in there. Um, but since he's not playing this week, I don't think they have a chance. So obviously, I'm about to go with the Dolphins.
So really quick, if the Steelers had Mitch playing, you would take the Steelers here, or
Yeah, by one.
interesting? Okay.
If Mitch comes in halfway through the game, bro, it might be a closer game than we think.
So you guys both think Mitch is better than Pickett?
He just plays solid when he comes in. He doesn't do good when he's a starter, but when he comes in, like when no one's game planning for him, and he comes in and he replays, bro, he just plays solid. I don't know
It,
what.
the thing with the Steelers right now is I think it's their offensive coordinator is just trash.
Yeah, Matt Canada
Um,
has
and
struggled
he
so far.
When Trubisky literally came out and said in an interview that they don't let him audible. What's the point of having him on your team? He's a 6-year quarterback. You're not letting him audible. There's no reason to have him on the team at that point because I mean, I like, but he doesn't really bring anything spectacular to the table. But he's a relatively consistent quarterback who can put up a touchdown, maybe a pick. But if I don't understand, if you're not gonna let him audible, what's the point of not playing him? But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean the Steelers' offense just hasn't looked very good, and like with Najee Harris being an absolute star last year, he just hasn't been able to get it going. And with this Dolphins defense, performing like they've been pretty well, top 10 defense in the league, top six, top seven, whatever. They've been playing pretty solidly. So I definitely think that the Steelers defense or Steelers offense is going to have a very hard time moving this ball with their already continued struggles with their bad play calling and just bad play in general.
Yeah, I think honestly, this I'm not gonna say could be a blowout. I mean, maybe I will. It could be a blowout if the Dolphins can get Tua back to
what he was. Yeah.
Well, yeah, back to what he was, and he's dropping a bunch of touchdowns and getting Tyreek and Waddle the ball underneath. They could be taking a lot of balls to the house, and we could see a high-scoring game here. So should be
Def-
interesting to see there. But we'll hop in. Monday Night Football. We have the Chicago Bears at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are
Oh no.
8-point favorites to win this game,
That's
um,
interesting.
and they will supposedly have Mac
Mac.
Jones back starting this game. Now, I mean, they looked great with Bailey Zappi, so maybe you don't need him, but I don't know. I'm part of the side that doesn't think that Bailey Zappi was better than Mac Jones. I think, he looked good. I'm not trying to downplay that at all. He looked like a good, quarterback. He came in and really put up a lot of points and did a good job. But I think, the more teams get film on these guys, the more teams that can learn how predictable they become and find out ways to scheme against them, the tougher it gets. So I think Mac Jones is the better guy, and he'll be back this week. I think this has a lot to do with the Bears just not being good at all. They have looked terrible. They played last Thursday, I believe, against the Commanders and put up like 7 points. Um, so the offense has been terrible. Justin Fields has not looked good. I think Mac Jones is much better. Um, I think the Bears' weapons aren't good as well. I think the Patriots have got Ramondre Stevenson going, and he's looked really explosive, really good out of the backfield. And
Yes,
that Patriots
sir.
defense, even though they lost J.C. Jackson, the rookie Jack Jones has come in, had a great start to the season. We talked about young corners. There's another one right there. The Patriots got one there, but I think the Bears just don't have the roster, and you also have Bill Belichick coaching one team. Um, and obviously they're going to have the upper hand there. So I think the Patriots pull this one out on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm honestly agreeing with you here. Patriots have had a pretty solid defense this year, and the Bears' offense has been lackluster. Let's be honest. They've had a solid running game. I will admit that with the Bears, but Patriots have also had very good run defense. So Bears also have been letting up a lot of running, rushing yards. So I think Ramondre, that's his name, Stevenson. He's gonna
Ramondre.
definitely,
Yep.
yeah, he's definitely gonna have a game this week. I think they're gonna continue. I mean, me and Mike kind of touched on this earlier in the year when we discussed the Patriots. We definitely said that they're gonna stick to the running game like they always have, and I definitely think that that's what they're gonna do this game. Mac Jones, we're not expecting him to throw 6 touchdowns this game, but we're
Oh,
expecting
I am.
Ramondre.
I actually
We're
have him going
expecting
for 7.
Ramondre. We have Ramondre coming out here, and he's gonna put up some yards. And kind of just to note it again, I'm hoping, as I live in Illinois, so I have to watch the game with the Chicago Bears, but I'm hoping that they can maybe start getting Justin Fields going, just maybe.
Well, I was gonna pick the Patriots in this game, but since you guys both picked them, I'm gonna have to switch to the Bears. Do I? In my heart, I obviously want the
You
Bears
don't
to.
have to.
I have to. And I mean, obviously the Patriots are the better team. I mean, when Bill Belichick comes out and pretty much gives like a 2,000-word essay on why the Bears are good, pretty much means your team sucks because whenever a team is really good, he doesn't come out and say anything. So if Bill Belichick's coming out there and like trying to make your team seem better than it really is, which is a strange tactic, that pretty much just means your team is dog shit. But if Justin Fields can make the simple plays,
I was
get
gonna
the
say, like,
touchdown.
which team are you picking here?
Well,
Like,
I'm
you're
picking the
talking about how the
Bears.
Bears are dog shit.
Oh, I know they're trouble, but I gotta pick. I didn't pick them last time. I kind of felt like I betrayed my team, so I'm gonna go with them this time. But
You're not like
I guess
Briller,
yeah. Well,
picking
like I was
against his own
saying,
team.
yeah, he just not a real fan. But pretty much if Justin Fields can make the simple plays, I think he can make this a close game. We just have to, if we get in the red zone, we have to score. We're the only team in NFL history to have 3 70-yard drives and not score, which is just insane to me. But if we can continue to drive down the field and put up some points, we can be a decent team, at least a decent offense. So if we can do that, I think we can pull a close victory. Definitely not going to be a blowout, but we'll see.
How do we think the Bears highlights are going to be this next week?
What'd you say?
I said, how do we think the Bears highlights are going to look this week?
Oh, I have no idea. Probably a lot of running highlights, 5-yard runs, because that's a highlight for the Bears.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping for my sake that they do solid, so I don't have to hear this guy all week. But you know,
Justin Fields is gonna be seeing ghosts out there. Just you wait.
I just hope this. I hope this is not a blowout or another lackluster primetime game type beat. So I'm really hoping that the Bears keep this interesting between the Patriots. But Patriots obviously have a stronger team this year, I think, than the Bears. So it's gonna be interesting to watch for sure.
Yeah, it should be, if not the best game, at least interesting, like you're saying. Two teams that are not great, but one is better than the other. So,
Yeah.
if you guys got nothing else, we covered every game. I think, we gave some good points. I think, I can't believe that Priller picked against the Seahawks. It's my big
Definitely gonna be
takeaway.
a while. I'm hoping that I can jinx the Chargers. Maybe see Tariq get
You're
his
going
fifth
reverse
interception.
psychology or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
Something like
Tariq
that.
gets his fifth interception this week.
So
You
when the
never know.
Seahawks win, me and Keegan are gonna be jumping for joy, and you're gonna be what? Upset?
I'm gonna I'm
Happy?
gonna
We'll
be
see.
I'm gonna be
A
I'm gonna
little
be
bit of
upset,
both.
but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we'll wrap it up there. If you guys are good, anything else that you guys wanted to touch on before we head out of here?
No, I'm good. I definitely think that this is gonna be a pretty exciting week of football. I'm hoping some high scoring games, definitely with the Chiefs and 49ers, and definitely hoping for some high scoring offense with the Seahawks. But you never know.
This is true. We also didn't really touch on. I'm noticing now the bye weeks this week, or the teams on bye, but that would be the Eagles, the Vikings, the Rams, and I am blanking on one. Someone help me out here.
Eagles, Vikings, Rams. Why can't I remember the other one? There's
Eagles,
another.
Vikings, Rams, Bills, Buffalo Bills.
Yeah,
Perfect.
why did I not
Shout
forget
out
that one?
Ethan in the background. All right. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there. All those teams on bye. Tough week for
All very
fantasy.
exciting teams on bye.
Yeah, a lot of fun teams that just aren't playing this week, which kind of sucks. But should be a good week of football regardless. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you later. Check us out on our socials. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for
Instagram,
coming out,
TikTok.
guys. Yeah. Good podcast, good conversations. Appreciate you guys as always for coming out, Keegan and Priller. Um, but yeah, we'll see you
For
next
sure.
time. Thank you for watching or listening. Um, and yeah.
Peace.